do independent learning. And then obviously the social emotional learning, if you're struggling with something during the day, like I'm really proud of Andrew. You know, if he knows something's off that day, he's going to tell you, and just that self-knowledge is a really good foundation for learning. And then from knowing to showing, so self-knowledge to making your thinking visible. So now you're able to well, it kind of goes to student voice then, but you're able to talk about what it is that you're thinking, what it is that you're feeling about
putting
it,
in inquiries about, wow, they actually did that. For instance, Annie Oakley was one of them. And another student did Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan is still alive. So what's the difference between a character that has passed away and what do we remember from their accomplishments? And they did a fabulous job by just researching and listening to each other and supporting each other. And so inquiry, it just really evolved from that because of their interest in the characters the other children had picked. Lila did
like supports our mathematical learning, and then the way I was kind of thinking about all the kind of the aspects of our learning. Being warm demander, as a warm demander, I have to foster critical thinking. And of course encourage to making our students thinking visible, which in math it's like this constant struggle, show me your work. So especially like I think that habit is really important to build in the 5th graders so that when they come to middle school they're already used to showing the work and it doesn't have to be a struggle anymore. I also, in my conversations with Marilyn, she's observing my recordings, and so she recommends more wait time, so I probably should put like a little star for myself for the wait time. But the 3 components, the critical thinking, making thinking visible, and wait time, in my opinion, that's like foundation of deep productive learning that the students will need to carry forward with them, middle school and beyond. And then in terms of thinking routine, I really liked you do, we do, I do, because this is kind of that bit of a flipped classroom. We're already doing it because inquiry-based math is kind of by definition that. You pose a problem to the students, let them have a discussion and see how they can find their way out of, you know, kind of like towards the solution, out of the conundrum.
Social studies, student choice, and I think the 4th category that I made was like the vision of the person, which is the graduate social emotional learning, self-knowledge, student agency, and executive functioning. So I think like everything feeds into another. But I was thinking about it in terms of like the just the undercurrent that permeates everything and bleeds into all of the others. So nothing is truly in isolation, but I was thinking about it in terms of like what we do, how we do it, what the culture is, and what we're trying to create. And I sort of put a lot of my white pages around the outside of that, just kind of grouped them into similar, like what I saw.
Synergy and your circle arrows there. I had a part where I was like trying to figure out how I was going to be like, oh, this kid thinks it also. So I like how you did that, and then how you enhance the top to like really show that it was foundational.
Yeah.
And this is good too. I like that.
Yeah, I feel like all of these you could put the word synergy between.
Yeah,
because they just
really,
kind of go together.
Good. Yeah, but I like how you kind of connected it here. The way that you glued it.
I'll have to connect these two over too. Do it. Then you get the pink pen back there.
Yeah.
The other classroom.
I kind of didn't want to take them down because I'm sure if I kept working with it, I'd move it again, start shuffling. But today what I did was I thought I was bookmarking the academics with self-knowledge, and the content is being supported by all of this. So this was supposed to be my umbrella. And then the portrait of a graduate I did as the foundation of all of this. And last night I had relational trust someplace else, but then I realized that it's really the basis for this learning center culture, because without that, none of this works. They have to trust us when we're pushing them and when we're encouraging them to work independently and all that. So that was a change. it almost felt like these were working in pairs, kind of partnership. The warm demander creates the productive struggle.
Like, you can't have high expectations if your students don't know that you care and that you see them and that you will meet them where they are. High expectations without that is just something that they don't necessarily feel like they can reach. And just kind of a lot of this builds on each other. So I have helps develop and builds a lot and supports, because I just feel like that's a lot of these topics. I don't know what we call them, but anyway, each of these little rectangles that they all do.
And I love how it all connects to TLC.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't bring everything down there, but like a lot of it does, right? Like the writing, the reading, the the social emotional stuff like that. Like, if without that, we're not really building much of a TLC graduate. We're just building a learning machine, and we don't want a learning machine.
Oh, definitely.
Peer learning and that peer support, which would lead to that. So that's kind of where my mindset went that way, and I kind of stopped there. Another kind of side, I guess, little or side card or idea from academics was that wait time, right? Because especially with OG or anything else, just giving them that time that they need to ask the questions or to have their voice or to ask for peer help. So I kind of put that there, and then that went across to like the SEL. Like, I'll come back to you. So just kind of making sure that they know they're still accountable, but giving them that time that they need to kind of think about a response or an answer, or to ask a question if they really aren't sure what's needed. I think that's something. Yeah, it kind of all goes over. And then so from wait time to like the social emotional learning through like TLC advocacy, all the activities that we do with that, and then building that SEL just for me comes with like that relational trust, building that culture of community and trust with my students. Like, we do like the weekend check-in, every Monday, every Tuesday, I make sure we spend that time, that 5-10 minutes. Exactly. So that's where like this executive function. I guess I should have connected this all the way over to this.
I mean, we could just like take a big glue pile and just put it all.
I know.
Seriously,
They all
We can justify every single connection.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because I'm even thinking the making your thinking visible, it connects all the way to social studies, but I like how the line kind of intersects critical thinking.
Yeah.
Because and I don't know if that was intentional, but I like it because it takes a lot of critical thinking to sit and show, whether it's verbal or with their poster or whatever their project is looking like.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of critical thinking skills to be able to show your thinking
It does.
in
That's
an
very
effective
true.
way.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Facilitating all of that piece, but none of it works unless there is self-knowledge and the skill on the student side of things, which is part of our portrait for graduate. And then I was thinking, well, that's connected to the portrait of the teacher as well, so pulling that out. So, and I haven't finished drawing all my lines, but everything is so interconnected for me on here. And then I was just pulling pieces off that go together. I think that trust and that rapport, that relational trust goes both ways between student and teacher, knowing how far to help guide the students and then letting them do their own thing, and also them having that trust to try things and to take risks and to voice their thinking. Goes in the other way. So having that really strong connection with the students, I think, is really the key to all of this.
Why executive function skills? How does that connect to the learner center? And how does that all kind of like 360-degree turn into how they're all kind of weaved and embedded together? I was talking to Elizabeth earlier about how I don't really name them. Like, oh, today we're gonna do this routine. We just do it, right? And it's embedded now, so it's in our everyday language. Kind of like what we did today. All of you just showed a perfect example of that. But yeah.
I think in routine for middle school teachers, you should do like a handover, because I think that you guys built such strong social emotional class, great. I mean, you know what I mean, like this cohort.
Yes.
So you
yes.
should pass all of that on so that middle school teachers can.
I see. By that, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like ideas or?
Well, so first of all, like the routines, just to make sure that they continue to carry on with those routines, and then also, I feel like your class meetings, the way you guys run them here, are like very deep.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way the students, the kind of sharing that they do, they might be even like ahead of our middle schoolers in terms of the depth of their thinking, like the connections they build, the trust, and that we should carry it on into the next year. So whoever will be teaching TLC advocacy.
I want to lean into, and I'll have Susie share and everybody else share, but I really do think it's really, I think it's listening. And the trust that you just shared.
Yes.
You said it well. I think having that connection and trust and building strong relationships leans into that social emotional learning.
Like to make a choice can be really a struggle for some students, right? And then to also be able to voice or express your thoughts, like you need to be thinking in your head through the information that you have. You need to have the routines that set you up for that so that you feel comfortable doing it yourself. And that, I think, is like collaborative learning among students, but also us with them in the way that we interact with them. So we're always helping each other in all of these aspects. There is never like just them or just me working on one of these things. We're always working on them together. So whatever I do is going to impact them, and whatever they're doing is going to influence my next, like, here's how we can tackle that, like here's how I can support them, and maybe I'll make changes, right? And so I was
types of questioning and the different speaker who's doing it, right?
Okay.
That would show them examples of questioning.
Allows for, provides.
You're thinking about the verb you started with.
Yeah. He helps students explore various types of questioning, right? Do you want to put like that in parentheses, like, or like examples that you said, or just leave it?
Inquiry, maybe question stems.
So does ours, like for social emotional learning, so is this how we're applying it, or is this,
It could be how you're applying it. It could be how you've used it in your classroom, how you've connected
related
with
to
LCC.
social emotional learning?
Exactly, related to your specific header.
Okay. So, one of the things that where we do a lot of, at least in 5th grade, as you're familiar, SEL, is in class meetings.
Yeah.
And I think that we should definitely like think about how to build it in, aside from our core subjects. That we
I agree,
teach.
yeah.
So maybe just like we can think about where we can put it in.
Yeah, we can do it from a 5th grade perspective. Sure.
And I'm sure there's a lot going on. I remember you sharing about your
Yeah.
students as well. I'm sure you have to bring up their level of.
Yeah, it takes good 2-3 months.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, because they're coming in with really low confidence,
Yes.
and they're not convinced that we can help them yet.
Oh,
You know.
The students or the
No, the students.
Yeah.
It's their mindset. But now they know the program works this time of year, and one of my students, Richie, wants to challenge himself to see how many red words he can retain, and he is like in the 3rd column.
Wow.
That's his goal. I mean, he takes those words that I give him, and he applies them, he memorizes them, and he's ready for the next set of words.
So it's that
So
perseverance.
that's his goal. Yeah.
Okay, so the example that is given for self-knowledge under questioning is promotes reflection on understanding by asking students what makes sense, what is confusing, and what do they need next. Under inquiry, encourages reflection on the learning process by asking students what worked, what did not, and what they would try next. Understanding method and thinking routines makes thinking visible by helping students see and name the moves their minds are making. Warm Demander provides clear, actionable feedback by showing students exactly what they're doing well and what to improve next. Productive struggle builds awareness and persistence by helping students reflect on how long they stayed with the task before seeking help. Okay, and then you started writing, know when they need help and what questions to ask to get the support they need.
Under question.
Does that make sense to me?
Yeah.
That to me sounds like self-knowledge and questioning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Enough to know.
Manageable steps too, then you can it helps you organize, like, okay, the first part is maybe we ask questions on this topic, on this part, right? Like if you're to write something, right, you have to think about what part am I writing about in this section.
Yeah.
So then I have to look into that. What part do I have to write about in this section? And I need to
So inquiry as far as understanding and planning your steps.
and then what's relevant. Maybe it's that too.
Yeah, I think that's yeah.
Yeah.
Being able to distinguish what's relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I think of my own classroom, like a writing activity, planning, and then thinking about organising the planning so that they don't deviate and do something completely different. Because I have one who does that.
Yeah. So even though it's loosely connected, right? Sometimes they will go off to something that's loosely connected, but not quite on.
Well, sometimes not so connected too.
Right. Yeah. I put one at the.
In TLC, we believe it's vital that students feel safe and supported, know they belong, and understand they matter. In their journey from hurt to healing, their mindset is changing from feeling other to feeling confident, capable, and successful. In the early grades, which I've had the opportunity to teach, it does take a couple of months for the children to feel that safeness, to get the confidence that they can do this, that yet is out there for them. And it shows up as soon as we start our OG learning, and we associate it with reading. That smile comes on their faces. They've completed a whole sentence on their own, where in the earlier days they couldn't. So that confidence there is very valuable. Students feel empowered to advocate for themselves and build tools that they need to succeed in the future. Only then can true learning commence. As an example, in weekly class meetings, students learn to navigate their disagreements in a safe, structured environment. Students show empathy, respect for each other, and grow in their self-awareness. All this is taught through many, many class meetings. This is not something that happens overnight. The tools are gathered after months and even a couple of years in our program, where they can gather in a class meeting, feel that safe environment where they can speak and know there are no consequences coming from what they truly feel. And SEL supports academics by teaching students how to conquer their anxiety about the unknown and turn their feelings of being overwhelmed into productive struggle.
Self-knowledge is important to our students' success as it helps them to understand what they need to be successful, lifelong learners. As active participants in their learning, they recognize their needs and strengths and learn to frame questions for clarity, to deepen their knowledge, to strengthen their ability to think flexibly and engage with others' perspectives, build upon ideas, and launch investigations in their learning.
At TLC, we believe a foundation in academics leads to becoming deep thinkers of learning. Students will bring the learner-centric culture that they have been immersed in along with them in their educational journey. When students graduate, they will approach academic challenges with a strong moral compass, confidence in their ability to do hard things independently, and the willingness to consider multiple perspectives when thinking deeply about a topic. They will be reflective learners who use feedback to strengthen their thinking, build self-awareness, and continue growing in both confidence and understanding.
The executive function is crucial to feeling and achieving success in completing tasks and is fundamentally different in students who are neurodiverse. Because of this, we focus on teaching appropriate tools and strategies which are tailored to each individual. Embedding this in our daily practice leads to automaticity, thereby empowering students and promoting their independent